Well, what do you know? It is early September 2022 and I've just discovered, surprise, surprise, that I'm 61 because it was my birthday just the other day. And I've got a problem, and that is I want to retire. But I've got another problem. I don't really know how to retire. So I'm going to start on a journey. So why don't you join me on my journey to a real retirement? My name's Derek. You can call me Dr. D. I live in the UK in the middle of England. We call it the Midlands, though I like to call it Middle Earth. I've got 3 children. My eldest daughter, 26, married and working down in Exeter. My son, the middle one, 24, and my youngest daughter, 20, just finishing her second year at university. So they're all either standing on their own 2 feet or beginning to stand on their own 2 feet. I'm also married. I run my own business. And whilst I enjoy my work, I am wanting to do and try and do other things. I'm wanting to enjoy at least the next 10 years, God willing, that I'll have with a reasonable degree of health. I really want a bit of freedom, I suppose. Running your own business is great, but nobody tells you that when you give up working in a company in sort of the corporate world, you give up one boss and you take on many bosses. They're called customers. My customers obviously want me to give them full attention all of the time, and that's perfectly reasonable. The jobs that they're wanting me to do, a part of their wider project, are really important to them. But that does bring its stresses and pressures. So I end up giving them a lot of my effort, and I'm increasingly finding at the end of the day or the end of the week, the energy that I've expended on keeping my customers happy means that I don't have energy myself to do some of the things that I would like to do. So this thing called retirement sounds like it might enable me to regain a little bit of control and regain a little bit of energy, or retain some energy, so I can go and do the things that I would like to do. Part of me thinks, yes, I want to retire. But then part of me thinks, do I? I remember the story of the man who had been very successful. He had been a farmer and he had built up a huge pile of wealth. And he had his wealth stored up in his barns. And one day he said to himself, well, I've got all of this wealth, I've got all of these barns, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to rip all those barns down and build a much bigger barn. And I'm going to put all my stuff in there. And then I'm going to sit back. I'm going to enjoy the high life. After all, I've worked for all this. Don't I deserve it? And just at that point, God turned up and said to him, you fool, tonight your life will be taken from you. And where will all this wealth, all this stuff, go? Well, that's why I'm a bit nervous about retirement. I don't really want to sit back and think that I've got it made. But I do want to be able to enjoy and contribute in the lives of other people, as well as having a bit more energy for myself. So, having thought about it for a bit, it turns out that perhaps I don't actually want to retire, but rather have a change of pace and a change of emphasis in the things that I do. And this, of course, raises another question. How do I keep up my energy and my health into this thing called retirement so I can do those things that I want to do? And not least is what we now call mental health. I think there's a statistic somewhere that says that for men who retire, they have a 40% chance of going into depression. And clearly I wouldn't want to be in that situation. But yet, on the other hand, as we get to this sort of age, we begin to hear about friends or colleagues who maybe have retired, maybe early 60s, maybe 65 or older. And unfortunately, their health has given up on them. I can think of 3 or 4 people I know have passed away very, very shortly after they retired, or even just before they were planning their retirement. And that just seems very sad. So there are some big questions that I'm trying to work my way around. And then the other big question is, how can I afford to retire? At the moment, my state pension has got 7 years before it kicks in at the princely sum of about £9,000 a year. Now, that's not really enough to live on. So do I have enough money, enough finances, or can maybe have some sort of part-time job to bring in enough income so I can go and enjoy doing the things that I want to enjoy doing? One of my fears is, though, leaving it too late. So, does this sound familiar to you? Maybe you've retired and you've gone down this path already. If so, put some comments in below and let us know how you fared. Or maybe you're just sort of thinking about this as I am now, and you've got questions you'd want to ask, things you'd perhaps like me to cover. Again, pop them in the comments below. So do I think this is going to be plain sailing? No, I don't at all. But I've got to start somewhere. If you want to know how I do, then please keep watching. So, cheerio for now. See you next time.